Invincible's third season has concluded on Amazon Prime, and with that it is now eligible for me to rank it. The series adapts the iconic comic from Robert Kirkman, who also created The Walking Dead, which has been covered on this channel before, so that instantly caught my attention upon this series release. We'll be covering those 3 seasons as well as the Atom Eve special in this video and ranking them from worst to best. Please let me know what your ranking would be, and let's get into it. In last place, I actually have that Atom Eve special, and it's not a bad special, you know, it's in last place, but it's just weaker than the show itself. I think this is just one of those cases where a spin-off wasn't exactly needed for this character. You know, they demonstrated in the show that she has quite poor parents, and yes, this does dive deeper into her life than just the parents, but I don't think it warranted a special devoted to it. I say that not because anything is really bad in it, but it's just the sort of thing we've seen before. You know, she follows a lot of the origin cliches, and other than a few things here and there, there's nothing too crazy which stands out. I don't know if a lot of people share this opinion, but I just kind of felt like her origin had no real surprises in it and felt like something I'd seen before. Now, as always, the animation and action is still strong and keeps you engaged, but other than that, I just wasn't too attached to the story. Now, moving on to the actual Invincible show, I had season 2 in last place of it. Now, I still think this is a good season, great animation, great moments, and great action, of course. It just really felt like the recovery season from the end of that first one, and it did a lot in setting up season 3. Now, in the mix, you do have great moments, as I said, but you also have plenty of inconsistent ones. Where it does deal with the repercussions of that first season, you do get a lot of emotional moments and some slight development for Omni-Man himself. But I also think my experience was kind of tarnished from the fact that the release of this was so spread out that I couldn't properly get invested into it like I did with the other 2. Now, I know that's not entirely down to the series itself, as, you know, any show should be viewed in its entirety, but that was just my experience watching through it. But yeah, this season did have to adjust to the lack of Omni-Man, and it did well. Just took some time to get adjusted to it, and yeah, as its own season 2 doesn't do too much. You obviously do have those moments, but I still think it works best as that, as I mentioned, recovery from season 1 and the setup for season 3. And with season 1, it came out during a time where the superhero genre was heavily saturated. You know, it was post-COVID. All the superhero stuff we were getting around there before No Way Home was just kind of very standard, mediocre superhero content. So, you know, there wasn't too much excitement for Invincible other than its comic book fans, but once it hit the streaming, it made such an impression. First episode in particular, it just shocked the whole world, myself included, and it established itself as a serious player in the superhero game, given the very R-rated content that goes on within it, whether that's, you know, language, violence, or even some naughty stuff. Invincible isn't like any of the other superhero stuff on TV, maybe The Boys to some extent, but it's entirely unique, especially since it's an animated form. It's so much more than just blood and guts. It also has thrilling writing, which creates some tense and emotional moments, especially between the 2 characters you see on screen right now. You can tell there's a lot of love and care put into this series, and understandably so, since it's been in the works for many, many years and has had the same writers attached as the comics. But yeah, it's no surprise that this show was a success, and it wouldn't surprise me if it goes on for many, many years.
I could lie, say I like it like that, like it like that.
It's actually refreshing that I can actually put a new release in first place again. It feels like it's been a while, and yes, I know I've been away from the channel for a while, but still, Invincible Season 3 is my #1 pick. I mentioned Season 2 set things up perfectly for Season 3, and this one just utilizes it by delivering strongly consistent season. Yes, you do have one episode which isn't superb, but it's still entertaining and serves some kind of purpose for these characters' development. I just love how this season really dove into the morality of being a superhero and the consequences, kind of similarly to Captain America's Civil War as well, in the sense of collateral damage while you are trying to save people. A lot of people do lose their lives or get hurt in the process, and given that Mark is still quite new to this superhero thing, you know, he's obviously getting stronger and more experienced, but he's still new. He really struggles to deal with the consequences and the darker side of being a hero, and he still struggles to juggle that with his personal life, which gets a bit better now that he has a more understanding partner. But I think season 3 just nailed it on all fronts. You know, it really tests Mark's resolve this entire season, and which does lead to some flaws in his character, which I appreciate because it makes him feel more human, more grounded. Can't be perfect all the time. He can snap at people. You can feel the emotional torture that this character goes through throughout the whole season. But alongside that, the writing for other characters such as Rex is strong. Oliver adds a nice dynamic into the mix, and the occasional cutaway to Alan and Omni-Man was also much appreciated. As a whole, I think the season was just very strong. You had great emotion, great writing, again, gnarly action, and it was all perfectly done thanks to the animation. What does prevent me from giving this a higher score is sometimes certain plot lines just quickly fizzle out, or some new ones emerge out of nowhere. That aside, it wasn't a big issue, but it was just one which kind of held me back from loving it more. But regardless, it's still my favourite season of Invincible, hence why I have it at first place. That was my ranking of all 3 Invincible seasons plus the one Atom Eve special. Please let me know what your ranking is down below and what you thought of season 3. As much as I enjoyed season 1 and 2, I didn't love it until season 3. It's really got me more engaged in the series, so I hope that that continues going forth as we get more and more seasons, which I do think is going to happen for plenty of years. They have such a strong set of writers behind it, such a strong fan base, and even the casting has always been spot on, so it's hard to see a world where this drastically plummets anytime soon. So yeah, I really enjoyed season 3 and the show as a whole. Please let me know what you thought, and yeah, I hope to see you in my next video.